Hi, welcome to part 4 of immunising your child against the primal wound. Today I'm going to refer to another book in this area of trauma, and that's the fact. Um, that's the fact. No, the title of the book is "The Body Keeps the Score." Right, the body keeps the score. So the first thing that popped into my head this morning when I was thinking about this was that life isn't a football game. It's not a football game. It's not a match. It's not a rugby match. It's not a football game. It's not any sort of game. And the idea that keeping score, well, what does it mean? What does it mean in this context? So what we're talking about here is that, I guess it's that feeling of that reverberates through our body. And so I recall about 15 years ago, I needed a, I always needed business deals. I was in, I was in a business that had a small number of staff, but it had big overheads, and it needed business. The business needed business. It needed sales. And an email from somebody who had agreed to work with us. They'd given us a verbal order, if you like. And this email seemed to, when it was forwarded on by a colleague of mine, and she said, "I think they're trying to back out, so they're not going to. They're reneging on their verbal agreement." Right? And I had this feeling in the pit of my stomach because and it hurt. It hurt, and somebody was some we needed that revenue, and that revenue looked like it was on the way out. And reading the email, I could see that my kind of my that my colleague was right. And that there's that visceral feeling. So uh, that visceral feeling that we get in the pit of our stomach, and it's often when for maybe that we feel we're going to be left on our own, and people say, well, that's evidence of the primal wound. The body is keeping score. You're getting that horrible feeling in the pit of the stomach, and in a in what on earth has business got to do with what's birth has got to do with business, got to do with adoption? Well, it's that feeling of being not, for me, I think it was the feeling of not being good enough, and therefore the urge to be better, to prove myself. Um, that's that's what everybody's concerned about. Everybody, nobody thinks that they're good enough. Oh, let me put it a different way. Everybody has moments when they're concerned that they're not good enough. With I think there's three concerns in life: death, um, public speaking, and not being good enough. And it all comes down to not being good enough. That we've not been good enough in life, and therefore, in death, we're going to go to hell. That when we get up to deliver that public speech, we're not going to be good enough. The words that we say, the words that aren't going to come out correctly, and we're going to get laughed at, or we're going to get misunderstood, or we're going to get ignored, or people are going to leave the room. It's all to do with not being good enough, and that feeling sometimes gets us there in the stomach. And you can say, well, that's the body keeping score of adoption and of trauma. Well, if that's the case, then everybody's suffering this, because from my work exploring this over the last 12 years, 13 years. Nobody thinks that they're good enough. But here's the thing. Just because, well, yeah, adoptees have got we've got a really good reason to believe that we're not good enough, and because we were given away, we were relinquished, or whatever the words you want to. But just because it's a compelling reason and it's logical, it doesn't mean that it's true. And the body's keeping score. The body's keeping score, Simon. That's proof of the primal wound. It's proof of the primal wound. Well, we're not our bodies. The primal wound feels bad. Feelings in the pit of our stomach, nervousness about being being left alone, being abandoned, being not good enough. It's part of the human development. It's there from the days when we were hunter gatherers, and if together we were safe, and people that got left behind died and got picked up by the wolves or whatever. It's their part of our. It's kind of wired into our human bodies, but it's not. It's not who we are, because we are not our bodies, and that existential threat, most of the time these days isn't there. It doesn't happen. It's a flashback to eons of human development, but we're not our bodies. How can I express this? How can I get this across? You see, right now I'm wondering why I didn't plan what I was going to say better. It's that I talked about the fear of public speaking, and it's getting me right now. So I could shut up and sign off and come back the following day, but that wouldn't be doing you any service at all. We're not our bodies. We're the owner of the bodies. We're the ghost in the machine. We're the how can I put this? It's the only way I can talk about this is this life force, this spirit within us, this animating force. With the animating force that brings our bodies to life. And this was so clear to me, unfortunately seeing my father-in-law who passed away. His body was there, but his life force wasn't. If you've ever seen a dead body, you know that the person, the animating force behind that the animating force inside that dead body wasn't there anymore. Maybe think about that, because these insights, my insights will make no sense to you whatsoever unless you see them for yourself. There's no such thing as a second-hand insight. There's no such thing as a used epiphany. We can't go and buy one off Amazon, even in new or used, secondhand. We can't buy this stuff. We have to see it for ourselves. My job is creating the space for you to see that for yourself, asking you the questions that prompt you to go within. Because as somebody said, if you don't go within, you will go without. You will go without, because we're searching as a human race. We're brought up on this idea that I'll be happy when that thing outside me, when I get that thing outside me, when I get that promotion, when I get that job, when I get that mortgage paid off, when I get that girlfriend, when I get that boyfriend, when I get that whatever, we're raised to go without, when the answers lie within us. So the primal wound is hurt feelings, experienced in their most dramatic manifestation by a visceral feeling in our bodies. But we are not our bodies. We are the life force that animates those bodies. Thanks a lot. See you soon. Bye-bye.